welcome everyone from across the world, across the globe at the Singapore Fintech Festival with the speakers series here at BlockCerts Blockchain. I'm Dan Gay, Chief Marketing Officer of BlockCerts Blockchain, and we have a very impressive panel today. We're going to talk today, and plus you'll have another chance to ask questions later this week. We're here with the DFSO through Columbia University, and a project that Tim Vasko, the CEO of BlockCerts Blockchain, has been working on diligently with this team throughout this year, throughout the pandemic, etc. And first off, I'd like to just welcome Keith Bowie from Columbia University. Welcome, and thanks for joining us, Keith.
Thank you, Dan. Pleasure to be here.
Great. And then also we have up top here, we've got Jason Buckweitz. And Jason, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Dan. Good to see you as well.
Great to see you as well. And the formal one, we didn't get the dress code, the rest of us here, but thank you. And then Dr. Leon Perlman, thank you very much for joining us, Dr. Leon.
Yeah, my pleasure to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
Great, absolutely. And then also we have the CEO and founder of BlockCerts Blockchain, Mr. Tim Vasko. Thanks for joining us, Tim.
Hi, Dan. Thanks. We're really happy to have the group here. Super excited about the Digital Financial Services Observatory and telling everybody what DFSO is about and all the hard work that has gone into this. It's important for the globe. So super exciting to kick off with this today.
Very exciting. And Tim, can you show just the speaker series to start? Absolutely. That would be great. And there we go. And just this week, just so everyone knows, this week we have a number of speakers that have joined the BlockCerts speaker series. And we're kicking this off with really our headliner with Dr. Leon and with his team. And very exciting that we're here with Columbia University this morning or this afternoon, tonight, wherever you happen to be around the globe. And as I said, we'll be speaking again later this week. And Tim, if you would just share the DFSO page, and then we'll just talk a little bit about the DFSO, and then we'll turn this over and let Dr. Perlman talk about the overall program and what you've put together here. It's very, very exciting.
So we're really excited to share the DFSO. The DFSO is a project from Columbia University and sponsored with grants from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. The project is incredibly important. As we all know, the digital financial world is booming. It has been booming, and I'm not going to steal any thunder. These gentlemen have put long, hard hours in for many years to get this project going. We're super excited to be part of the DFSO's launch, to bringing it to the world, to actually operationalizing what's happening. So without further ado, Dr. Perlman and Keith and Jason, thanks for joining us. Please jump in and tell people what this is about and why it's so critical for especially the world we're in today and what we anticipate. And again, we will be doing several of these events to let people know how they can get involved with the DFSO. But today we're going to talk about what it is and make an introduction. So take it away, gentlemen. Thank you for being here.
And then Tim, you'll have to stop. There we go. We're ready.
There we go.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tim. My name is Jason Buckweitz. I'm the Executive Director of the Columbia Institute for Tele-Information. We're the research center that houses the DFSO project. Just to give a little introduction by way of those not familiar with how Columbia University operates, Columbia is a bit of an umbrella organization overarching the university. It encompasses the Columbia Business School, the Graduate School of Business, which deals with finance and economics, and also handles the MBA program there. Housed within that is the Columbia Institute for Tele-Information, which is a research center that has existed since 1983 at Columbia. And we mainly focus on research for telecom, teleinformation, and media, focusing specifically on how policy and regulation are affecting the future look of telecom and teleinformation policy. Next slide. So Columbia Business School needs no introduction. It's one of the top universities around the world. It has housed and features faculty members who are at the forefront of their fields, continuing to produce groundbreaking research across all different disciplines. We have several leaders who have received Nobel Prizes, and we continue to be at the very center of media, technology, and finance in general. Next slide. The Columbia Institute for Tele-Information, again, was founded in 1983 as the first research center in the US that focuses on communications, economics, and management. The Institute was founded by Professor Elie Noam, continues to be led by him today. Professor Noam is a professor of economics and finance, as well as the Garrett Professor of Public Policy and Business Responsibility. Excellent. CITI has long been recognized for its work. In 2000, it was selected as the Sloan Foundation Institute for Telecommunications. This made it one of the few academic research centers around the globe that was a named center and put within the Sloan Foundation. CITI has also published over 75 books in its 37 years and has twice received awards for best books in media economics, once in 2010 and again in 2017. CITI's worked with regulators for many years. We provided one of the two papers that was used by the United States Federal Communications Commission, FCC, as they put together their U.S. National Broadband Plan. Our work was cited somewhere around 40 or 50 times in that research. We've also consulted with the Department of Justice, the New York State Attorney General Office, and consulted on various mergers and acquisitions in media, telecom, and other areas, generally trying to give ideas as to whether or not a merger should go through or not, based on scientific data. We've also consulted outside of the United States with the CRTC, as well as the Mexican Senate, and EU countries as well. CITI has been long involved in digital finance. We started hosting our first events and research in 2010. Back then, it was being referred to as mobile money. As that information and interest grew, we recognized that there was a strong importance for academic research in what is now referred to as DFS, and we were approached by Dr. Perlman, who will begin speaking in a second, to build a large-scale project, which has now become known as the Digital Financial Services Observatory. Dr. Perlman designed and founded this project and has been CITI's point person since 2015, when the project really kicked off. So I would like to turn it over to Dr. Perlman now to give us a little bit of background as to the project and really dive deep into it. Thanks, Leon.
Okay, next slide. Okay, thanks, Jason. He's a great colleague for the introduction. I'm just going to give you a high-level overview of our current and then proposed activities, and we as you'll see, we're very active. We, as I like to say, punch above our weight, and have got global recognition for what I'm about to describe to you. So a highlight of our year is the annual summit, when people were still meeting. But it's a full-day annual summit with thematic focus on important topics in the digital finance space. So we kind of truncated it to digital finance, and usually held in person at universities' faculty house. Our 2020 keynote speaker was Superintendent Melinda, who's the head of the New York State Department of Financial Services. We had a second summit in August this year, which was done virtually because of COVID, obviously. Then we have a number of biannual roundtables and conferences. In 2019 and 2020, we had roundtables on blockchain development, cyber risk and financial services, and trends in anti-money laundering. A number of capacity building webinars are held. Usually the DFSO staff present them, but we also bring in outside experts, averaging about 6 a year, sometimes up to about 10. Sample topics include regulatory sandboxes, which is a hot topic. Blockchain, of course, fintech regulation, payment systems, AML, expanding financial regulation through digital technology. Next slide. As I said, we've gained global recognition for our activities for the past 5 years, and come into regular contact with VIPs in the digital finance world, including regulators, especially the DFS ecosystem, although that's kind of morphed into digital finance primarily. These include central banks, which we have close contact with, Pakistan, Uganda, Bahamas, telco regulators around the world, consumer protection regulators, information technology ministries, and finance ministries, etc., etc. The point is, we have direct access to very high level government personnel and regulators. To that point, we assist governments in understanding how new technologies and how they'll new impact on their current regulatory and legal frameworks. Part of that is through the capacity building webinars, and when we could, in-person briefings and seminars in various countries, including on AI, mobile money, DFS, blockchain. We help them in developing digital economy roadmaps, and very important is we have expertise and recognize expertise in gap analysis of laws and regulations. So basically see what needs to be fixed in a country's laws and regulations to allow certain new technologies to be implemented. We also get invitations to speak at high-level international conferences such as this one, including that from the ITU and the World Bank. Next slide. You can go onto our website, www.dfsobservatory.com. You'll see a whole range of academic white papers, and also on ssrn.com, which is a repository of academic papers. You'll see under our names, author names, DFS Observatory, over 20 academic white papers. We'll be publishing a whole lot more in the next few months. They include top 10% downloads in these online paper repositories. If you go there, you'll see our work, very important groundbreaking work on sandboxes in developing countries, regulation of financial components of the crypto economy, as we call it, a very popular download and topic. Use of IDs and eKYC, know your customer for customer identity. Fintech and RegTech, another hot topic. And then one of the most downloaded papers, one I wrote about 2-3 years ago, was a primer on digital financial services. So anything you need to know about digital financial services from A to Z is in that primer. I encourage you, if you want to find out more about the general DFS ecosystem, to go there. That's again one of our hottest downloads. Another groundbreaking topic, and you'll see these cover technology, regulation, and digital economy. So our expertise in the DFSO is able to integrate all those topics into a manageable paper that provides enormous benefit to the readers. Mobile coverage and impact on digital financial services is one of them, because it includes a lot of technical information that wasn't available before. We're also very proud of our DFS database and information repository that's built by my colleague, Michael Weschler. Contains DFS-related laws, regulations, policies, and guidance. So that was built bootstrapped from the ground up. And we curated it and tweaked it according to user feedback. So we've got approximately 1,000 curated entries from more than 80 jurisdictions with sortable metadata, so you can look up laws and regulations on a whole lot of topics and ancillary topics, DFS, including AML, blockchain, cybersecurity, and it's very user-friendly. Next slide, please. We're also very proud of the world's first cybersecurity actionable risk management framework for digital financial services. And my colleague Keith will talk about that later. And this is the first of its kind, because there's no other framework, an actionable framework, that looks at the processes around cybersecurity and DFS. again, we bootstrapped this. This was a project that we got funding from the Melinda Gates Foundation, and ensure that the DFS organizational operations and services are contained within a secure environment that maintains a confidential integrity of data information. And we're in beta on this. It's being tested around the world, and we hope to release it in the next few months. The methodology is based on these national standards and obviously tweaked according to the capacity available in a particular country, which might not be applicable to other risk management frameworks that are not DFS related. We use a cyber hygiene maturity model, 6 maturity levels, so it's process driven. So not only do this action, but also how to do these actions. It's incredibly important. We also provide preventative processes and reactive processes. Next slide. Okay, so we're going into phase 3 of the DFSO. It's these are 2-year lifespans, and the planned activities for phase 3 is an automated tool for development of model rules and regulations. You'll see on our website we developed model law for the crypto economy and crypto assets, as well as a model memorandum of understanding between regulators. So this is a continuation of that novel approach. So this will contain a suite of RegTech, cybersecurity, and auditing tools for the common underlying architecture. We're going to continue with our very successful summits and roundtables. And in person, when possible, we obviously hoping to restart that in person. White papers and webinars, a number have been proposed. I'll go over that. But also excited to announce proposed DFS Journal, hybrid academic and professional journal featuring peer reviews, reviewed content relating to the digital financial services ecosystem. And of course, we'll continue to update and improve our database on dfsobservatory.com. Okay, so briefly, the automated tools and model rules is this automation of actionable cybersecurity risk management framework. So really under the umbrella of RegTech. Then also excited to about a blueprint for African cybersecurity early warning hub, sort of like a CERT. We're thinking of a regional hub integrating cybersecurity event reporting and dissemination of real-time information and coordination of responses to any attacks or potential attack. This will also include inventory and an auditing tool of national DFS resources and crisis preparedness. I think we all recognize the need for crisis preparedness, COVID, and also the development of model rules and automated A-RMF cybersecurity hub. Next slide, please. We'll continue with the annual summit again in person, if possible. The speaker panels include globally recognized experts. Our roundtables, half-day roundtables, we transitioned to virtual roundtables this year, mostly, and we'll do these every few months, every 6 months, covering topics on new DFSO initiatives and more general topics of interest around DFS. Okay, next slide, please. White papers and webinars that we're proposing is movement from physical to virtual currencies in the age of the pandemic. Update on our sandboxes paper, beyond the experimental stage to real-world implementation at the global effort, digital identities, onboarding and privacy issues, cyber awareness, hygiene and security in DFS, and impact of central bank digital currencies and digital currencies on the DFS ecosystem, AML and CFT, trends and challenges. And you can see all of those are interconnected. Some of the sample topics for our webinars: risk management framework training course. We've been doing fintech and regulatory sandboxes primer, fintech law regulation, and cyber hygiene and security primer, and cybersecurity and cyber resilience in the financial sector. And also, again, the DFS Journal. This will be the hybrid academic professional journal. It fills a gap we feel in DFS-related coverage, which by providing greater exposure to notable, important, and relevant topics, and of course, new authors who often don't get the ability to publish their work because it doesn't necessarily fit into a recognized journal topic. A valuable compendium, a single source of coverage highlighting noteworthy and timely contributions, provides publishing platform which encourages contributions from the developing world. So again, that's new authors. And topics will be determined based on outreach effort and contributions received. Next topic, please. Next slide. The DFS database and website will be updated. And there's a fortune of new laws and regulations that are coming through, especially those relating to CBDCs, AML, and digital identity. Next slide, please. Okay, I'm also excited to announce the launch of DFSO sponsorship. Of course, the DFSO exists due to generous grants from philanthropic organizations like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, who sponsored us since 2015. And we're actively seeking new sponsorship partners. Any interested parties should contact Jason Buckweitz at this email address, or reach out to me or any of my colleagues. We'll be happy to chat to you. I think this is a very worthwhile cause, and we're hoping to reach more people around the world with the sponsorship contributions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Perlman. That was very insightful, and we're super excited about the project and helping. What everybody should be aware of that's joining us here is that the DFSO is has created a founding sponsors network. We'll talk more about that. Please join the DFSO at the links that we'll be sending you, or blockcerts.com/DSFO. You can get to this page and apply to become a founding sponsor. There are incredible things happening as the processes go forward. Keith Bowie will be talking later this week about how commercialization and utilization of the program is going forward with the DFSO, and how you're going to be able to actually implement this amazing amount of work. I think one of the most incredible parts about what you guys have done and the team there at Columbia is created a framework that is, what can I say, predictive about where we're at today in the world. You started this before anybody ever had an inclination that we were going to be in the situation we are today. And today we're faced with a need and a demand for all these incredible technologies to not only secure and report, but extend things like KYC, like knowing who's on the other end of this and protecting literally everything from finance now to did you get a vaccine and was it real, and those kinds of things that are coming up. Just real quickly, while we have some time here, can you give us some thoughts on, you've been doing this for a long time. Give us some thoughts on what you think has changed with COVID and the pandemic, and how critical DFSO's work really is in an applicable marketplace today.
Leon, you want to take that? Do you want me to?
Yeah, sure. It's really highlighted the
Leon, I think we're missing your video. Maybe you could turn your video on. There you
go. It's highlighted the need for electronic payments, because clearly cash right at the beginning of the pandemic was considered suspect. You just didn't know where you could get COVID from. I think we've got past that to some degree. Interestingly, there's been a massive call for cash in the UK of all places, but the rest of the world, especially the developing world, a lot of the what's called GTP payments, government to person payments, or PPP in the US, social grants around the world have gone electronic. And the fact that there's such a value chain available has made the transition quite effortless.
And we have this new almost $1 trillion worth of capital that's going to be dumped into the United States, right? For aid and so forth. So, yeah, you're exactly right. Maybe some ideas on how DFSO will help support, proper allocation of these.
Well, we've already had some webinars and conferences highlighting exactly how this will be done. We brought in experts. You can go look at it on our website. We especially in our August summit, we had a couple of expert panels on how the pandemic has changed the value equation in DFS. Jason, you got some thoughts?
Yeah. I think Keith had said that.
Keith, good.
Well, no, I was just going to kind of echo what Leon was saying, and it not only has it exploded, but it's increasing at pace still. People who weren't involved in digital channels are now hell for leather jumping into digital channels, and those that were in there are accelerating the use of them. So as Leon said, we had a webinar back in August, which covered a lot of those things, especially around payments in the developing world and the technology around those as well. And one thing that we did emphasize or came through in that series of panels was not only have these facilities became more commonplace, but they need to be secure. And there's still some concern about the secure nature of some of these digital channels that we're hoping to, with the use of our framework, hoping to actually add some color around and then hopefully give people some comfort that they can protect themselves if they take the right steps.
Yeah, and using the proper technologies like blockchain and advancing KYCs far beyond what the traditional use was, which was for financial services and banks and so forth, right, Keith?
Completely right. Yeah, you got it.
You can really see the benefits that companies that do get involved in this project and process have, because it's so far-reaching all around the globe and the world, and you're really changing what has been in the past going forward into the digital space, which we all know has just exploded in the last 6 months. So
and this is a half a decade worth of thought here. This is a half a decade worth of thought leadership, which is exactly what academic institutions are supposed to do. And it's quite astounding that from all this research, really from the genesis of when, and I'll use the word genesis because Genesis block is used in blockchain, but from the genesis of all of this stuff starting out, you've amassed this incredible amount of resource and knowledge to really operationalize the globe and the planet around where we're at today. You're right, Dr. Perlman, we're not handing cash anymore, and we're not even maybe card present anymore with a lot of the just traditional day-to-day transactions, much less the speed at which we need to do these international transactions and global frameworks. And de-risking that, eliminating fraud, creating identity integrations and so forth is, again, thought leadership, but also very real. We all know it. We all understand the importance of this today.
It's interesting you use the word de-risking or risking because we've made that a major focus of our activities, because we've done quite a bit of work on de-risking, which essentially is deplatforming a whole countries.
Right.
Because the AML and KYC or ID systems don't seem to be sufficiently secure or auditable by global correspondent banks and even central banks. So effectively, a whole country, say a remittance chain or just a wire transfer is cut off sometimes with very short notice. That hasn't really been relaxed in the age of COVID, although internally in some countries, the AML restrictions have been relaxed. AML restrictions, insofar as the rules might be restrictive to people getting money, because people haven't been able to carry their ID documents or get ID documents because of COVID shutting down government offices. So internally, in countries they've lifted, they've relaxed the KYC AML restrictions, but that has a deleterious effect on de-risking. Because now the global correspondent banks say, well, look, these countries are not really secure. So there's a fine balance between what's done internally in the country to ameliorate the effects of COVID versus its corresponding effects on, so to speak, global correspondent banks who monitor the use of AML and digital IDs in the country.
Well, and it's quite interesting too that this comes out of the telecommunications section of the university, because really at the end of the day, don't we all have our ATM right here, in our device, and that's such an important. We all know how rapidly that framework has emerged, but to now layer the security and the framework into mobile through the telcos that are now acting as our banks, really, or if not our banks, our banking distribution framework. So, Jason, that's the name of the department there.
Yeah, like I said, when we first started, Professor Noam's mentality was always to be very forward-thinking and very forward-looking, not looking back, but instead trying to really see where everything is going. And so what CITI has always tried to do is to see how networks, how business, et cetera, is evolving. And so when we were looking at telecommunications in the 90s, we saw it as a new medium for distributing media, and now it is probably the major way most people reach their media. And again, in the 2000s, it started being, hey, this is the new way to transact business. This is the new way to transact funds, etc. And the explosion of e-retailing, travel, and as you said, not only your ATM in your pocket, but also your entire business. I mean, you can literally transact your entire company from your smartphone. And so all of a sudden, giving the person the ability to do all of this commerce, all of these transactions, and truly be anywhere is a really freeing environment. But to your point, it also starts to ask a lot of questions towards regulation. A lot of telecoms laws were written in the 1930s, updated. The last major update in the United States was in 1996. So you're talking about regulations that were written in the time before broadband internet was really available, are now controlling the ability to handle cryptocurrency and transactions of cryptocurrency, which was something that wasn't even thought of until a good 12 years after those regulations had dried. So our goal at CITI and at the DFS is to design regulations, to design thought that is thinking beyond where this is going, and not just saying, hey, here's this technology, here's what exists today, let's regulate for today, but also to think forward towards the future. And our RMF is designed to do exactly that, how to put together a system that will work in regulations down the road, not just today. And
you bring up the 1930s, and it's interesting that the telco regulations were written in the 1930s, and so were the securities regulations. And I noticed just December 2nd, there was a release that a global sandbox has been created for regulatory framework for new capital markets and capital raising that includes 23 countries, including Canada and the US, where we all are located now across that international border. So I think, this idea of merging really regulatory frameworks with network frameworks and these devices, and then the tools that sit in there for the actual end user to use this safely and run their business or make their transaction or do their work or be connected to their employer and so forth and so on, is so much bigger than when we were just making a phone call or maybe walking into a bank to make a deposit and open an account, right? It's truly this holistic kind of interconnected framework that needs to be monitored and managed across all those data points. There's this massive amount of data, and with those data points comes risk. With these new frameworks and these new opportunities to be untethered, we have openings that need to be standardized and protected and regulated.
And with COVID really compressing time, which we've seen in our business and throughout all of this, there are needs that were there or maybe always there that have taken on an even more significance and more importance. And what your overall DFSO is involved in, and what you were involved in, very visionary years ago. But now what you're doing is making an impact with all the things that have to be done quickly now that are of significance, incredible significance. So, and we're going to talk about a minute or two from wrapping this up. So just want to give everybody heads up as we continue this here. So
great. Well, we're super excited to bring on the next round of discussions with you gentlemen, and to talk about becoming a founding member of the DFSO. You've got some impressive support already, the Sloan Foundation and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and we are excited to see who joins that roster with us that can apply. And we will be distributing out the way to apply, the way to get that information to you, Jason, to everybody who is who's watching this. And we'll also let you know when our breakout sessions are to ask even more questions. But again, thank you today. It's a fascinating project. More important than it being fascinating, it's real, it's here, and it's absolutely critical. We all need this. So thank you for all the hard work and for joining us. And I always like to close by saying, please stay safe, stay healthy, and stay digital, especially stay digital with the Digital Financial Services Observatory. And we will be back later this week with the team here. Keith, Jason, and Dr. Perlman, thank you so much.
thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Take care.
Thanks. Stay safe, everybody.
Take care.
Take care.